Well, if there's a major issue that affects eastern Idaho, chances are Frank VanderSloot has an opinion about it.
Tonight, the president of Melaleuca speaks candidly with Nate Eaton on why he gets so involved in his community. Nate?
Mary, when the old McDermott baseball field in Idaho Falls was literally days away from being shut down, Frank VanderSloot stepped forward with $600,000 and saved the park. It's now called Melaleuca Field. Every year, Frank spends a lot of money on a spectacular Freedom fireworks celebration that's completely free to the public. He does things like this because he's passionate about where he lives and what happens in his community. Sometimes that means speaking out on controversial issues.
This is pretty much the purebred operation.
Frank VanderSloot loves the outdoors, and he loves to speak his mind. So when a proposed development in Fremont County threatens scenic views, he took out full-page newspaper ads against the project.
I love nature. I love to drive and see the forests and the wildlife.
Not only that, he's been one of the most vocal opponents of a wind farm project in Wolverine Canyon. He put up huge anti-windmill signs and petitioned county commissioners to vote against the mills.
I'm not an environmentalist like an environmentalist that wants to stop everything. It's the forest and the streams that I think we ought to protect.
Frank's also been involved in other controversial issues, but perhaps none as well known as his battle with the Post-Register. In 2005, the paper published a 6-part series about Boy Scouts who were molested by their camp leader.
I do think that Boy Scout thing was way out of line.
Frank wasn't upset the Post ran the story, but he didn't like the way they did it. So he used his monthly community page news ad in the Post-Register to attack the Post-Register. He even hired a law firm to conduct comprehensive research into the story.
Now, that doesn't mean there weren't mistakes made, and that doesn't mean that there weren't children that were molested, for Pete's sake. But I felt like they were trying to blame the wrong people. Instead of blaming the molester, they were trying to blame all the youth groups and the Boy Scouts, and they were trying to blame the leaders, and they're trying to blame their church organizations.
The Post-Register believes it did nothing wrong and stands by the story. No one mentioned in the articles ever asked the paper to issue any corrections, clarifications, or retractions, and the story won numerous awards. State laws concerning child abuse were even changed because of the series. Are you still at odds with the Post-Register over the whole Boy Scout thing?
Not at all.
In fact, both Frank and the Post-Register believe they learned from the disagreement.
I didn't understand the sensitivity of the victims on all this. I've learned a lot, became really good friends, really good friends with some of the victims that were involved.
It was around this time when Frank became interested in acquiring media outlets himself.
Soft rock, classy 97.
He ended up purchasing 5 high-rated radio stations from Bonneville Communications.
We're ready to kick off the lunch hour.
And renamed the group Riverbend Communications.
I know that I've appreciated when my kids listen to good music, and I like stations to listen to that offer that.
I declare my intention to run for President of the United States.
Frank's also dabbled in politics, endorsing candidates like Mitt Romney.
Thank you, Governor, for being here again with us.
Jim Risch, and voicing his opposition against others.
Judge Herndon would have been one of those. Kathy Silik on the Supreme Court was one of those. When you get enough opinion that the job isn't being done correctly, you could draw conclusions that we'd be better off to have somebody new in the position.
Are you ever going to run for politics, run for office?
I would be bad at it. I like to be in a position where I can get something done. And they've got, I mean, there's all this negotiations and deal makings and all of that stuff going on that I don't think I'd be good at it.
Well, he does get stuff done. Now, Frank has also been in the headlines recently concerning a lawsuit involving a former employee. He can't comment on the case because it has not yet been resolved. Now, coming up tomorrow at 10, Frank talks candidly about his wife and how they've raised their 14 children.
We don't buy them anything. They got to buy their own stuff. But we've said we'll pay half. So if somebody wants a video game, it's got to be the appropriate video game. But as long as it's something that's not going to hurt them, we'll say we don't say yes you can or no you can't. We say, can you afford it?
We'll also take a look at what the future holds for VanderSloot. Now, if you missed part 1 of our series that aired last night, you can check it out on our website at KIDK.com. I'm Nate Eaton for Channel 3 Eyewitness News.